Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Fasting. Volume 3, Book 31 to 115 225. Volume 3, Book 31, number 115. Narrated by Talha bin Ubaidullah. A Bedouin with unkempt hair came to Allah's Apostle and said, "O Allah's Apostle, inform me what Allah has made compulsory for me as regards the prayers." He replied, "You have to offer perfectly the 5 compulsory prayers in a day and night, 24 hours, unless you want to pray nawafil." The Bedouin further asked, "Inform me what Allah has made compulsory for me as regards fasting." He replied, "You have to fast during the whole month of Ramadan, unless you want to fast more as nawafil." The Bedouin further asked, "Tell me how much zakat Allah has enjoined on me." Thus, Allah's Apostle informed him about all the rules, i.e. fundamentals, of Islam. The Bedouin then said, "By him who has honored you, I will neither perform any nawafil nor will I decrease what Allah has enjoined on me." Allah's Apostle said, "If he is saying the truth, he will succeed, or he will be granted paradise." Volume 3, Book 31, number 116. Narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet observed the fast on the 10th of Muharram, Ashura, and ordered Muslims to fast on that day. But when the fasting of the month of Ramadan was prescribed, the fasting of the Ashura was abandoned. Abdullah did not use to fast on that day unless it coincided with his routine fasting by chance. Volume 3, Book 31, number 117. Narrated by Aisha. The tribe of Quraysh used to fast on the day of Ashura, in the pre-Islamic period, and then Allah's Apostle ordered Muslims to fast on it till the fasting in the month of Ramadan was prescribed. Whereupon the Prophet said, "He who wants to fast on Ashura may fast, and he who does not want to fast may not fast." Volume 3, Book 31, number 118. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, "Fasting is a shield, or a screen or a shelter." So, the person observing fasting should avoid sexual relation with his wife and should not behave foolishly and impudently, and if somebody fights with him or abuses him, he should tell him twice, "I am fasting." The Prophet added, "By him in whose hands my soul is, the smell coming out from the mouth of a fasting person is better in the sight of Allah than the smell of musk." Allah says about the fasting person, "He has left his food, drink and desires for my sake. The fast is for me. So I will reward the fasting person for it, and the reward of good deeds is multiplied 10 times. Volume 3, Book 31, number 119. Narrated by Abu Wail from Hadith. Umar asked the people, "Who remembers the narration of the Prophet about the affliction?" Hadith said, "I heard the Prophet saying, the affliction of a person in his property, family and neighbors is expiated by his prayers, fasting, and giving in charity." Umar said, "I do not ask about that, but I ask about those afflictions which will spread like the waves of the sea." Hadith replied, "There is a closed gate in front of those afflictions." Umar asked, "Will that gate be opened or broken?" He replied, "It will be broken." Umar said, "Then the gate will not be closed again till the day of resurrection." We said to Masruq, "Would you ask Hadith whether Umar knew what that gate symbolized?" He asked him and he replied, he, Umar, knew it as one knows that there will be night before tomorrow morning. Volume 3, Book 31, number 120. Narrated by Sal. The Prophet said, "There is a gate in paradise called Ar-Rayyan, and those who observe fasts will enter through it on the day of resurrection, and none except them will enter through it. It will be said, where are those who used to observe fasts? They will get up, and none except them will enter through it. After their entry the gate will be closed and nobody will enter through it. Volume 3, Book 31, number 121. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, whoever gives two kinds of things or property in charity for Allah's cause will be called from the gates of paradise and will be addressed, O slaves of Allah. Here is prosperity. So, whoever was amongst the people who used to offer their prayers will be called from the gate of the prayer. And whoever was amongst the people who used to participate in jihad will be called from the gate of jihad. And whoever was amongst those who used to observe fasts will be called from the gate of Ar-Rayyan. Whoever was amongst those who used to give in charity will be called from the gate of charity. Abu Bakr said, let my parents be sacrificed for you, O Allah's Apostle. No distress or need will befall him who will be called from those gates. Will there be anyone who will be called from all these gates? The Prophet replied, yes, and I hope you will be one of them. Volume 3, Book 31, number 122. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, when Ramadan begins, the gates of paradise are opened. Volume 3, Book 31, number 123. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, when the month of Ramadan starts, the gates of the heaven are opened and the gates of hell are closed and the devils are chained. Volume 3, Book 31, number 124. Narrated by Ibn Umar. I heard Allah's Apostle saying, when you see the crescent of the month of Ramadan, start fasting, and when you see the crescent of the month of Shawwal, stop fasting. And if the sky is overcast, and you can't see it, then regard the crescent month of Ramadan as of 30 days. Volume 3, Book 31, number 125. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, whoever established prayers on the night of Qadr out of sincere faith and hoping for a reward from Allah, then all his previous sins will be forgiven. And whoever fasts in the month of Ramadan out of sincere faith and hoping for a reward from Allah, then all his previous sins will be forgiven. Volume 3, Book 31, number 126. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was the most generous amongst the people, and he used to be more so in the month of Ramadan when Gabriel visited him, and Gabriel used to meet him on every night of Ramadan till the end of the month. The Prophet used to recite the Holy Quran to Gabriel, and when Gabriel met him, he used to be more generous than a fast wind, which causes rain and welfare. Volume 3, Book 31, number 127. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, whoever does not give up forged speech and evil actions, Allah is not in need of his leaving his food and drink, i.e. Allah will not accept his fasting. Volume 3, Book 31, number 128. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, Allah said, all the deeds of Adam's sons, people, are for them, except fasting, which is for me, and I will give the reward for it. Fasting is a shield or protection from the fire and from committing sins. If one of you is fasting, he should avoid sexual relation with his wife and quarreling. And if somebody should fight or quarrel with him, he should say, I am fasting. By him in whose hands my soul is, the unpleasant smell coming out from the mouth of a fasting person is better in the sight of Allah than the smell of musk. There are two pleasures for the fasting person, one at the time of breaking his fast, and the other at the time when he will meet his Lord. Then he will be pleased because of his fasting. Volume 3, Book 31, number 129. Narrated by Alqama. While I was walking with Abdullah, he said, we were in the company of the Prophet, and he said, he who can afford to marry should marry, because it will help him refrain from looking at other women, and save his private parts from looking at other women, and save his private parts from committing illegal sexual relation. And he who cannot afford to marry is advised to fast, as fasting will diminish his sexual power.